Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I am Katie Patrick, joined as always by David Fiorazzo. Now, today, David has some matters of the world that he has some views on. And so on Worldview Matters, you had a little chitty chat, didn't you, David?
Yes, Todd Nettleton, voice of the martyrs. And by the way, if you missed yesterday's Jan Markell Olive Tree Ministries, go check that one out. Great conversation with her. But Todd Nettleton, he keeps track of Christian persecution around the world, and you would be surprised at some of the most restricted nations when it comes to religious freedom and attacks on Christianity. So that's Todd Nettleton, voice of the martyrs. Today, subscribe to worldviewmatters.tv. And by the way, this Thursday night, I'll be speaking at Freedom Project headquarters in Appleton, Wisconsin. You can live stream if you don't live in the area. That's 7 p.m. this Thursday night on my book, explaining to you what's going on, how we can respond as believers. And that's 7 p.m. Freedom Project. That's on their Facebook page. You can stream live, or we'd love to see you in person. 7 p.m.
All right. So those of you on the West Coast or even East Coast or even in the very
7
South.
Central Time. So that would be 5 on
that
the
means
West Coast.
no. I'm appealing to them directly here. That means you need to get in your vehicle about now if you want to have a nice leisurely stroll to be able to drive across the United States to get here on time, because then you could go up to Green Bay and go tour Lambeau Field and enjoy what Wisconsin offers here in December.
Come visit.
Quite a few things. Snow is free. Yes. But a quick reminder also that if you enjoy watching our videos, and especially the videos we put out that, they censor, which is pretty much to say all of them. So if you enjoy watching the videos not censored, then please go over to Rumble and subscribe to our Rumble channel. It's at rumble.com/Freedom Project. It was pretty simple one. Rumble.com/Freedom Project. Now, if you are down in Florida, like this next story, again, get in your vehicle and start driving up here, because down there is a Florida high school principal and some of his staff who are under investigation after allegedly allowing a boy to play on a girls' volleyball team. This must be once in a lifetime thing that happened. This has never happened elsewhere, David.
What a development.
This is a new story.
So, allegedly, I like how they always have to throw that in.
Well, you have to put it in as a news to cover your back end,
Right? Okay. CYB.
Cover your back end.
Butt.
Yep.
Okay, so back end. So the high school principal was apparently reassigned now. I mean, let me clarify. That has nothing to do with gender. That has to do with his position. After allowing a trans-identifying player on the girls' team. So I'm really interested in this story because we know it's not an isolated case in this country of confusion and delusion. But the high school principal and other school officials have been reassigned amid an investigation into whether they allowed a trans-identifying male player on the girls' volleyball team. Katie, I think we just need to look at the news story here before we talk about it, because what's going on. We've been reporting on this, and this is an odd case in my opinion. But let's watch first and get the details.
Word of a staff shakeup spread quickly across Monarch Senior High today. The school's principal, James Cecil, and the assistant principal, Kenneth May, both reassigned to positions away from students amid a new investigation. Multiple sources tell Local 10 it all centers around a transgender athlete who plays on the girls' volleyball team. The student, born a male, but now identifies as a female.
No. No, that's not a girl. That's a boy.
Well, everybody is human, Everybody chooses their own life, so you can't just neglect no one. You have to just be happy to the person who are.
No, it's not fair, because he, in his birth certificate, it doesn't say trans. It either says a male or a female. And if he can't play on the team, that means he can't play on the team.
Reaction among parents and students Monday was mixed. But what's fueling the problem is a relatively new state law signed by Governor Ron DeSantis about a year and a half ago that bans transgender girls and women from playing on female teams to prevent what he said at the time was an unfair physical physical advantage.
Will ensure fairness for women athletes.
Today, stern reaction from the head of the Broward Teachers Union.
We understand that there's a law, but, to remove 3 people that are in need to run a school and run a sports program, I think the allegation and investigation could go forward without removing any of the above.
Oh, it can go forward without making any changes whatsoever. So just then saying that we're investigating and not doing anything. But in this case, the school, they're actually doing something about it, which is like a first. But again, then you do again remember that this is in Florida where the governor is actually governing the state and therefore going to take action. And the fact that this happened in Florida and Ron DeSantis, like people are enacting exactly what he laid out.
Yep.
So he's, wait a minute, a man of his word? And you can actually look to him by his actions because he's actually protecting girls.
Yeah, and that's the 2021 Fairness in Women's Sports Act that he signed. And that I wish more states would, I think more will follow suit. But in that video, Katie, wasn't it interesting to see the students and people from the community, parents, they're saying
no.
That one kid
kid
said, "Well, on his birth certificate, it's," and his, now that student's probably on probation now because he said his instead of her.
This is correct. Well, the girl back there was videoing, so I wonder what she was going to do with the video, videoing him being interviewed in the video of the video. So it is interesting to see that. This principal, James Cecil, and the assistant principal, Kenneth May, the athletic director, Deion Hester, and the volleyball coach, Jessica Norton, all being transferred. Now, when they said transferred, I'm like, well, so you meaning just another school's going to have this happen to them where there's going to be someone who's I'm trans, so then they get put on that volleyball team or another basketball season now, and then are they going to have to get transferred again because they're going to again allow a trans player on the team? Is that they'll just get moved around? So we'll see what actually comes of this investigation, but
yeah, what a mess! All because of the delusion. And let's just be honest, friends. I mean, there's some really strong delusion in our culture today, in our world, and they're calling evil good and good evil, and people are just not willing to speak the truth, and they want to go along with whatever might make other people feel better. But I think it was Ben Shapiro who's one of the first that said facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, that's his mantra, and it's the truth. So, and
that should be ours as well.
Exactly.
Well, let's move on. We'll have more stories like this, I'm sure, to discuss because it seems never ending. A Vermont Christian school is suing the government after being kicked out of the state's athletic program for refusing to compete against girls' teams that include a male athlete. We're talking about that next.
So we have to now hit up the court of law to dispute the common sense things, David.
Yes.
We used to, I guess in the old Wild Wild West, we used to go out in the middle of the dirt road and do a draw. But now we're going to the court of law. And the common sense thing we're talking about, of course, is boys are boys, girls are girls, and we just don't know anymore, David. So we have a school.
Who can be sure?
Yeah, we had a school that actually needed to file a lawsuit to defend themselves for that simple understanding that boys are boys and girls are girls. We're talking about Mid-Vermont Christian School, and they had to file a lawsuit against the state officials after they were forced out of the state's athletic association for refusing to actually make their girls' high school basketball team play against a team that had a boy on it. So they got booted out because they were like, hey, guess what? There are boys' basketball teams or volleyball teams, or in this instance it was basketball, and there are girls, and there should only be boys versus girls and not actually including boys on the girls' teams. So let's take a look at what is happening.
In a federal lawsuit filed this week, the Alliance Defending Freedom, representing Mid-Vermont Christian School and 2 families, claims that the state of Vermont is barring students from participating in sports and the state's tuition voucher program because of their religious beliefs.
Vermont cannot discriminate against a Christian school or its families for following their religious beliefs. That's exactly what's happened here.
Last year, the State Board of Education set rules saying private or independent schools that take taxpayer dollars cannot discriminate against LGBTQ students in admissions. Mid-Vermont Christian refused to sign on, citing concerns over religious liberty.
And as part of that, they would actually have to sign off on statements that, frankly, would violate their religious beliefs, their religious convictions.
In states like Vermont, families in towns without schools can receive taxpayer-funded vouchers to attend a nearby public, private, or independent school. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled last year that states cannot withhold vouchers from private schools with religious instruction. Alliance Defending Freedom's federal suit also claims a family who wanted to send their kid to Mid-Vermont was denied a voucher. But according to constitutional experts, this case is a little different from the one that the Supreme Court ruled on.
I think that the state is going to be on much stronger footing if it's making funding decisions based not on religion, but on rules that say we aren't going to fund institutions that discriminate based on gender, based on sexual orientation, etc.
Now, you may remember we actually talked about this story back when it first happened, back in February. And what happened was Mid-Vermont Christian School, they decided not to attend that basketball tournament it was Long Trail School, which had the male player on the female squad. And so as a result, then the high school was barred from participating in games in the future because they, as we see here, violated the commitment to racial, gender fair, and disability awareness and policy of gender identity.
Wow.
These are the blah, 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 garbage terms that they put out there. But my question is, what about violating just natural law? Are they not?
That's not as,
then?
Yeah, different. They're moving the goalposts. They're not concerned about that as much. I like what the ADF said, and this is just surprising too. I mean, what would our great grandparents think, Katie Petrick?
Exactly.
They said because the school believes sex doesn't change, the state unlawfully expelled them from both its tuition benefit program and athletic or academic competitions. And so that's what the ADF is defending and supporting the school for doing, which I hope, friends, we're pulling for this Vermont school because we're going to see more of this. We're going to see a lot. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more schools saying, you know what, it's basketball. You know, it's not like boxing or other physical sports, but yet someone still could get hurt.
Oh, well, this is just a shameless plug because I watched it. If you haven't seen Lady Ballers on Daily Wire, that just released on December 1st, that's about basketball. Guys, basketball teams, ladies can definitely get hurt. Boxing is a direct hurt immediately. But we've seen how many different sports now where they've gotten hurt. Yep. Was that lacrosse was it
field hockey?
Lacrosse,
soccer was one.
Soccer as well.
Volleyball.
Pretty much everything. Volleyball
the
the girl got a concussion. So yeah, there's that. But here's where it goes. Okay, you may be saying, who cares, Katie? It's just sports. Just don't play the sport. Well, as you saw in that news package, and I'll reiterate here, the Vermont Agency of Education also refused to allow the school to participate in the tuition program. Okay, so they're talking about the voucher. So now it's coming down to the actual education of the children and children being able to go to the school that they want and be able to actually get into that school. But now vouchers are not being given. And so it affects the rest of their life then based on the education they won't get to see. They'll have to go to that public school and go compete against the boys in all of the girls' sports. So there's that one. But we have more still to come. Students in Seattle public schools sent letters decorated with rainbows and the pro-LGBT blah, blah, blah propaganda to the parental rights group called Moms for Liberty. And of course, it was all done under the encouragement and supervision of the public school teachers. So let's talk about that next.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
You know, as someone who is passionate about English and literature and writing and all the things that come with the words, you know that the art of letter writing is really lost upon the current generations. But not for students, at least at Seattle Public Schools, because they're all about writing letters. and making little cards to send out, which is amazing. Great. Awesome for them.
Letters.
But then you find out that the content of said cards, letters, is all about the LGBT alphabet soup group.
Okay.
And they're sending those rainbows to Moms for Liberty, which is a group that is about moms who care about children's education.
Right. Why would they be doing that, Katie?
Why would they be doing that? Because this is Seattle Public Schools, and they're saying, hey, let's send those pro-LGBT alphabet soup letters to Moms for Liberty. Let's just take out all the time that we have that is meant for school and do this instead. So there is photo evidence. There it is. This actually happened. You may be saying, oh, yeah, I'm sure it didn't. But Moms for Liberty posted what they received in the mail. It was Seattle Public Schools. They're spending class time indoctrinating and weaponizing your children. It says the building of the Red Guard in America. At least they paid their postage. Now, let's just leave that image there up on the screen, please. As we look at the cards / letters, whatever that they wrote. This is from middle school students. I mean, I would argue this is from elementary students. Back in the day, when you would write all the colors of the rainbow, I used to use all the colors, and you like color.
Yep.
Now, they write, say gay. Of course, you gotta write that, say gay. Even though it's Seattle, not down in Florida where they're the whole don't say gay. All that stuff. My heart when people are homophobic and they show a heart that's colored in different colors, and it's a broken heart. Aww. Then they have little emoji, or smiley stickers. And then it says, gay is slay. Stop being a rat. They're sending these to Moms for Liberty.
I'm behind the times here. What does that mean? Slay?
Slay. Oh, you want, it's
is that the
cool.
new,
it's hip.
cool,
it's happening.
Hip, rad.
Everything is slay.
You can't come up against it. I like, it's so why pick on Moms for Liberty when there are, I don't know, 100 or more, I'm just threw that number, nonprofits and other organizations that are for the biblical worldview, or for religious freedom, or for protecting life, or for protecting marriage and family, and then saying, stop bullying and excluding Moms for Liberty. Can you explain that?
Well, I'm guessing it's in the mind of Ann Christensen. What a name to have. She is the middle school GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance coordinator, and she wrote an introductory little letter, which is all of a whole sentence. Wow, she must be the English teacher. Wow, a whole sentence she wrote. It said, Dear Moms for Liberty, please read the enclosed cards from concerned middle school students in Seattle, Washington. Really? Are they concerned middle school students, Anne? Or is it that you're like, hey, this is what we're doing today, kids. You must make a card. It's that, or we're going to read 8 chapters of the book. You choose. You want to do some grammar exercises or write a card?
On this post, Katie, the Twitter post, the X post, Andrew Gustafson said, meanwhile, here are the most recent test results for Seattle Public Schools reported to the state. 36.3% of students failed to meet the grade level standard in English. 46.5% failed to meet the grade level standard in math. 51.7% failed to meet the grade level standard in science. And one more, Scarlett JOL said, class time spent radicalizing your kids. Imagine if a teacher had organized a letter writing campaign to President Biden, for example, to encourage him to stop making changes that would allow boys into girls' bathrooms. Can you imagine if the tables were reversed? It doesn't happen because the teachers are part of the leftist Democrat agenda.
See, now what I'm going to argue is it's just that these tests that they have to take that give that percentage about, 36% or whatever, it's because they're behind the times. They haven't incorporated into the test yet slay, because if slay was on the test, they'd get it all right. Maybe you wouldn't because you're behind the times too.
I'm catching up,
But they would slay that exam. All right, I think I did enough. I don't even know I think I used slay properly, but we'll move on. So it's time to talk about a nice work trip.
Oh, boy.
Not one that I've had or that David has had. Boss, anyone hearing us out there? Producer? But we have a billionaire who just paid for 1,200 of his employees and their families to enjoy a nice vacation at Disneyland. Not in the U.S. We'll get to that part. And it was capped off with a private concert. Who was it? We are going to show you all the sights and the sounds when we return.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the Freedom Project Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
I don't care what you do with your money. Well, I do, but why does it matter? Because so many people could be helped with this kind of money, but let's not judge him. What did he do? A billionaire boss, Ken Griffin, CEO of Citadel LLC, he sent 1,200 employees and their families to Disneyland. There's red flag number 1. And that was in, I believe it was Japan.
They went to Tokyo,
Yep.
Disneyland,
and,
Tokyo.
And throws a private gig with Maroon 5 and Calvin Harris.
Woo!
Katie, I don't know who they are,
Oh, okay.
Maroon 5 or
Adam
Calvin
Levine.
Harris.
Okay.
But I'm guessing they're
big names.
big entertainment
Millions of
celebrities.
dollars.
Right. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this. Again, people can do free country, free world. You can do what you want with your money. What is productive, though, and what is wasteful? Let's watch this and we'll come back and talk about it.
Whoa, the confetti alone probably costs $100,000.
Wow. So Katie, employees in his offices, Hong Kong, Singapore, Sydney, Shanghai, Tokyo, they were invited along with their families to enjoy a day out in Disneyland, Tokyo, and Disney Sea Resort. That's a lot of money. I mean, it looks like he's worth an estimated 36 billion
pounds, which is
Oh, is
more
that
than
pounds?
dollars. Yeah.
Okay, 36 billion. He covered everyone's expenses,
nice.
travel, entertainment, and child care. I mean, if you can work for a company like that doesn't care about throwing money away, I mean, go for it. But Katie, I'm a little jaded over this because of the problems in our world in the major cities when it comes to the poor, the homeless, those who really need help, everywhere from adoption agencies, foster kids, the drug problems, all these other issues that we could definitely use some funding because the Biden administration certainly isn't helping. But then you're wasting billions of dollars on this kind of stuff.
Well,
Your thoughts?
and that becomes the issue, right? Because we in the U.S. we're supposed to be a capitalist economy. We know we're not quite free market as we could be, but and especially around the holidays when it starts to be holiday, as they call them, David, don't yell at me, but they call them holiday parties.
Holidays.
The Christmas parties for these offices, and especially when you get talking about the big corporations like big hedge funds, any insurance company, all of them, and they have all these elaborate type of Christmas parties when it's like, well, what if you would just not have these elaborate Christmas parties and maybe charge your customers a little bit less, just a little bit less, and then they could also in turn turn around and spread the joy that is truly the reason for the holiday season, is to love your neighbor as yourself and maybe give to charity instead of blowing all this money for a one-night event to go to Tokyo Disneyland and then have, I guess, Coldplay come in there. But if you were special, that's when if you were a lucky staff member, you got a private Maroon 5 and Calvin Harris concert. Ooh!
So apparently last year, this billionaire took 10,000 staff and their families to a 3-day Walt Disney World trip, including several pop concerts. And again, friends, I mean, I'm thankful that we do live in a relatively free country still, and people can do whatever they want with their money. But yeah, I look more at the big picture and the people that are really hurting and need help around the world. And I would hope that we would be a little bit more, I don't want to say responsible. I guess, yeah, that might be a good word.
Maybe.
In helping people that really are suffering. And, like I said, entertainment is so huge. That seems to be the focus.
So basically, it's a you do you, but if you would, stop thinking about you situation. That's kind of how we got to look at this. Yeah.
But Merry Christmas
to you guys.
Christmas
to all.
Merry Christmas season. I know you're not going to hear it on TV. You hear a lot about the holidays, but we hear about holidays in July too.
February. Holidays
February, yeah. There's President's Day, there's Valentine's Day, and then in March, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and then there's a lot of holidays. So you could say Happy Holidays all year round.
This is true.
Yep.
You don't have to change the banner ever.
No.
Just always have it say Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas to all, and to all almost a good night. All right. Well, if you could be so kind and give us a Christmas present by downloading the app. It's for catching us on the go at all times.
And that's free.
And that's free too.
We won't charge you.
We're not going to charge you and then give you a trip to Disneyland. All right, don't forget to download Freedom Project Media app. Again, gets all your educated, World Matters, all the good stuff. But for now, for David and for myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.